Oh, here we are back again. We're still giving everything away with the dedication of, it's the sixth dedication, which when it comes to the end, he re-identifies it. It says, this is the sixth of the great enlightening beings' dedications, following up and making permanent all roots of goodness, causing them to endure. That's it. So now we have to, this next session we will try to finish this. We'll try not to rush and enjoy it because it is so amazing. But now we've gotten down to fingernails. And as I say, this is, remember the holographic nature of reality and the holographic nature that is represented in this work. In the sense that even although he's really talking about the 10 dedications and the magnificent path of the Bodhisattvas, the enlightening beings, he nevertheless is touching on the most profound, amazing things in tiny touches, so that the power of emptiness, the difference between emptiness and nothingness, the dedication of all of that, etc., and its interconnectedness with the great compassionate, magnanimous deeds of the Bodhisattva is constantly being, is constantly present. So both sides, both wings of wisdom and compassion are completely in every word practically. Just like the jewel net of Indra, the holograph, all the information of the entire hologram is in every atom of the hologram. And so everything about the universe is in every atom of the universe, and there are even other universes in every atom, and so on. So the way of doing this with the signature bodhisattva of the Buddha Avatamsaka, which is Samantabhadra, all around good or totally good bodhisattva, super good bodhisattva, Samantabhadra, Samanta, to all, totally all directions and all limits of goodness. Everything we're doing, we're reading this now, but in every atom of all this environment here at the Menla Spa, we are sitting in a universe reading this to whoever is listening to it. Okay? And many invisible beings always come when you read a sutra like this, and they are sitting around listening to it. Okay? When great enlightening beings are seeking the teaching, if someone says, if you give me your fingernails, I'll give you the teaching. The enlightened beings reply, just give me the teaching and you may take and use my fingernails as you wish, as did Bodhisattva, sovereign king seeking truth, Bodhisattva, inexhaustible enlightening being, and countless other Bodhisattva, great enlightening beings. In their search for the true teaching, and because of their desire to expound the true teaching for the benefit of sentient beings, to cause all of them to be fulfilled, they give their fingernails away to those who ask for them. At that time, the enlightening beings dedicate those roots of goodness in this way. May all sentient beings have the ruddy copper nails that are a mark, I think should really be copper-colored nails, that are a mark of the Buddha. May all sentient beings have glossy nails adorned with embellishments. May all sentient beings have shiny, clean nails, clear as mirrors, finest of all. May all sentient beings have the nails of the omniscient and be endowed with the marks of great human beings. May all sentient beings have peerless nails, not defiled by or attached to any world. May all sentient beings have nails with marvelous adornments, with light illuminating all worlds. May all sentient beings have unbreakable nails, pure, clean, and complete. May all sentient beings have nails marked by entry into the techniques of all Buddha teachings, vast knowledge and wisdom thoroughly pure. May all sentient beings have well-formed nails, the fruit of enlightening actions, all sublimely pure. May all sentient beings have the nails of the great omniscient guide, radiating treasures of beautiful lights of infinite hues. This is great enlightening beings' dedication of roots of goodness when giving their nails in their quest for the teaching, to call sentient beings to be endowed with the unobstructed power of nails of omniscience of all Buddhas. This is beautiful. It reminds me that there's this wonderful poem in the Subhashitaratna Kosha, compiled by a Buddhist yogi, but in the form of classical Sanskrit quatrains, in which he says, may the pleasure of the gods, when they, of all the gods, be to your blessing, when they zoom into the presence of the Buddha with their vast energies and huge pride of deity and divinity. And when as they bow to him and they feel so devoted and so happy to be in his presence that they bow to him, and then the pleasure they have when they see their own crown jewels and extraordinary exquisite ornaments, earrings and jewels and nose rings and brow rings and jeweled top knots and diadems and so forth, all reflected in the toenails of the Buddha. They get tremendous pleasure because his toenails reflect them beautifully and multiply them enormously. And in a way I never thought of that, they give them a little, Avatamsaka feeling of their own presence in the all reflections and in every atom of the toenail, And so Buddha gets that ability to have toenails like that from being a Bodhisattva who gave their fingernails and toenails to beings seeking, when they were seeking teaching, to receive teaching. It also reminds of the story of where Buddha, as a Bodhisattva, first received the teaching from another teacher of the tenfold path of skillful evolutionary action, or that is to say good karma, skillful evolutionary action, and tenfold path of unskillful or bad karma, it's unskillful evolutionary action. And this 3 of body, 4 of speech, 3 of mind, etc. When he received that, the teacher made him cut a piece of skin from his arm and take a piece of bone from a finger and make a pen out of it, quill out of it, and then dip the quill in blood and write the tenfold things out. Must have been in very brief stenographer's writing on that skin in order to receive that teaching. So it's considered so precious. The patterns of evolution, how they work. Like the ethical DNA, if you will, of teaching. By killing, you disregard another person's connection to the life force, and so you diminish your own connection to the infinite life force and your sameness with the other person. And therefore you harm yourself by killing another. And therefore, it's unskillful evolutionary action. Of course, it annoys the other person being, and then they also get mad and they want to kill you again and revenge in the next life. So it's completely useless. Great enlightening beings seek the treasury of Buddha teachings with reverence and respect, considering it difficult to find. If someone who can expound it comes to them and says, if you can throw yourself into a pit of fire 70 feet deep, I will give you the teaching. The enlightening beings hearing this jump for joy and reflect, I would stay forever even in miserable places like uninterrupted hell and experience immeasurable suffering for the sake of the truth. How much the more readily would I jump into the fire of the human world to hear the teaching. How wonderful it is that the true teaching is so easy to obtain without suffering the infinite tortures of hell. One gets to hear it merely by entering a pit of fire. Just explain to me and I'll go into the pit of fire. And like the enlightening beings, Bodhisattva King in quest of the good teaching and Bodhisattva adamantine meditation, they enter the pit of fire in quest of the teaching. At this time, the enlightening beings dedicate these roots of goodness in this way. May, quote, may all sentient beings abide in the teaching of universal knowledge, the abode of Buddhas, and never regress or retreat from unexcelled enlightenment. May all sentient beings be free from all perils and experience the peace and ease of Buddhahood. May all sentient beings attain fearless minds and be free from all terrors. May all sentient beings always gladly seek truth, full of joy and bliss, adorned by the teachings. May all sentient beings leave the courses of evil and extinguish the raging fires of the 3 poisons. May all sentient beings always be in peace and happiness, full of the supremely refined pleasures of the enlightened. May all sentient beings attain the mind of enlightening beings and forever part from the fire of craving, anger, and delusion. May all sentient beings attain the pleasures of concentration of enlightening beings and see the Buddhas everywhere, their minds full of joy. May all sentient beings skillfully explain the true teaching, ultimately never forgetting its principles. And may all sentient beings have the sublime bliss of spiritual powers of enlightening beings and ultimately abide in knowledge of all ways of enlightenment. This is great enlightening beings' dedication of roots of goodness when plunging into a pit of fire in quest of the true teaching for the purpose of causing sentient beings to give up hindering actions and all attain the full endowment of the fire of wisdom. When great enlightening beings in quest of the true teaching analyze and expound the path of enlightening beings, point out the road of enlightenment, proceed toward highest knowledge, diligently cultivate the 10 powers, extend the mind of universal knowledge, attain the state of unobstructed knowledge, purify sentient beings, abide in the sphere of action of enlightening beings, earnestly cultivate great knowledge and preserve completed knowledge, enlightenment. They experience immeasurable suffering and tribulation, as did Bodhisattva Seeker of the Good Teaching, Bodhisattva Brave King, and countless other great Bodhisattva enlightening beings. To save even the most evil people who repudiate the truth or shrouded by evil deeds or in the grip of delusion, the enlightening beings, for the sake of the truth, accept for those people all the torments they should suffer. These roots of goodness they dedicate in this way. May all sentient beings be forever freed from all suffering and oppression and attain peace and happiness, freedom and spiritual power. May all sentient beings be forever free from all miseries and attain all happiness. May all sentient beings annihilate the body of accumulated suffering, attain the body of illumination, and always experience ease and bliss. May all sentient beings escape from the prison of suffering and perfect wise action. And may all sentient beings see the path of peace and depart from all evil courses. May all sentient beings attain the joy and bliss of truth and forever end all misery. May all sentient beings extirpate all suffering, love one another, and have no malevolence. May all sentient beings attain the bliss of the Buddhas and leave the pains of birth and death. May all sentient beings attain pure, peerless peace and ease, impervious to all pains and vexations. May all sentient beings attain all supreme bliss, ultimately filled with the unobstructed bliss of Buddhahood. This is great enlightening beings' dedication of roots of goodness when accepting suffering for the sake of the truth, because they want to rescue all beings and bring them to safety, free them from peril and difficulty, and cause them to live in the realm of omniscient, unhindered liberation. And when great enlightening beings occupy the rank of ruler and seek true teaching, they consider even one sentence, one word, one phrase, one doctrine hard to obtain, and will give up everything within seas, near or far, land, cities, towns, populous storehouses, gardens, ponds, houses, forests, flowers, produce, including all rare and precious things, palaces, bowers, spouses, children's retinues, even rulership. They are able to give it all up, seeking that which endures while in the midst of the transient, because they want to benefit all living beings. They earnestly seek the Buddha's path of unhindered liberation and ultimately pure universal knowledge, as did Bodhisattva Great Moral Force, Bodhisattva King of Supreme Virtue, and Bodhisattva countless other great enlightening beings. They diligently seek true teaching. Even a little bit, for every one word, they prostrate themselves on the ground. Properly meditating on the teachings of all Buddhas of past, present, and future, they devotedly practice them, never greedy for fame or fortune. They abandon the independent rulership of all worldly realms to seek autonomous mastery of truth. They have no attachment to worldly pleasures and nourish their minds with transmundane teachings, forever leaving behind all idle speculations and inanities of the world, abiding in the truth of the Buddhas, which is free from inanity. At that time, enlightening beings dedicate the roots of goodness in this way. Quote, may all sentient beings always gladly give generously, relinquishing everything. May all sentient beings be able to give up whatever they have without regret. May all sentient beings always seek the truth without begrudging their lives or sustenance. May all sentient beings gain the benefit of the teaching and be able to stop everyone's doubts and confusions. May all sentient beings be able to give up their lives and sovereignty in quest of the Buddha teaching, cultivating highest enlightenment with great determination. May all sentient beings honor and respect the true teaching with ever profound aspiration, not begrudging their bodily lives. May all sentient beings preserve the most difficult to find Buddha teaching, always practicing it diligently. May all sentient beings attain the Buddha's light of enlightenment, accomplishing the practice of enlightenment, awakening without relying on another for understanding. May all sentient beings always be able to analyze. That's very important. You need teaching, you get teaching, you seek Buddhas, you seek great enlightening beings, you read sutras, you need to get teachings, but ultimately you must receive your own insight and find your own teaching from your inner guru, which is your indestructible drop, the place where you touch in microscopic indestructible thing, although you can think of it as a little bigger when you first think of it, and you go into the infinite there, and there you receive these teachings. You don't depend on anyone else. May all sentient beings accomplishing the practice of enlightenment, awakening without relying on another for understanding. May all sentient beings always be able to analyze, because when you don't have to rely on another, is when you are every other. So therefore it's all you. All the Buddhas are you. And you yourself, give yourself the understanding. That was the first thing Buddha said to the first person who asked him on the normal humanoid social level in India. When he was traveling to teach the 5 ascetics, he met one person who said, "Who's your teacher?" He said, "I am Swayambhu, self-originated, self-taught." That means. May all sentient beings, so that's key of Buddhism. You must learn it yourself. There's no omnipotent being manipulating you. No omnipotent Buddha, no omnipotent God. There is no omnipotence anywhere. Omnipotence is the omnipotence of reality. You are that reality. So you are omnipotent about yourself only. Okay? And then you can be as close as omnipotence as possible in trying to arrange things for others to find that omnipotence in themselves, about themselves. Okay? So you get really good at freeing beings from feeling they're being driven around by some other being in control of them. And they find that's when they find true freedom. All right? That's very important. So, analyze all Buddha teachings, pull out the arrow of doubt and attain peace of mind, end quote. This is great enlightening beings' dedication of roots of goodness when giving up their countries and cities in request of the true teaching in order to cause sentient beings' knowledge and insight to be complete and always to be able to remain in the path of peace. Great enlightening beings, becoming monarchs of great countries, masters of the law, promulgate commands to eliminate work involving killing. In all cities, towns, and villages, all butchery and slaughtering is prohibited. To all creatures, legless, 2-legged, 4-legged, or many-legged, they give freedom from fear and aggression. Extensively cultivating the practices of all enlightening beings, they treat beings with humanity and kindness, not acting in aggressive or harmful ways. They conceive the wonderful, precious will to give peace to sentient beings and establish profound determination for Buddhahood, always abiding themselves by the 3 kinds of pure precepts. They also induce sentient beings to do the same. So they're kind of vegan, except maybe they don't mind milking cows, but maybe they think it's too aggressive to put them in milking machine industrial farms. But maybe the personal cow who lives with you, etc., doesn't mind being milked by you a little bit here and there, but not to kill them. Like that became the way India was. Even after Buddhism left, the Indians still stopped eating their cows. They still do eat their goats and things. They were doing that, but not their cows at least. Great enlightening beings. So they did that without modern veganism. But modern veganism would be good if there was a Bodhisattva, if there was an enlightening king who was complete, trend setter and could give such commands and could set up a global diet, like the that wonderful, what is it called? I can't remember her name, whose diet for a happy planet or something. A wonderful book, and there are many books since then, about how all the protein of the food that's used to give grain to feed animals for feedlots, if it was used to feed humans, there would be absolutely no need for a slightest hunger or famine anywhere whatsoever. And besides, it would be really nice for the animal, the cows and beings, not to be overbred and overpopulated and then slaughtered. So great enlightening beings causing, but that's when they're kings, they can make such a precept. To abide by the 5 precepts and forever stop occupational killing, dedicate these roots of goodness in this way. May all sentient beings awaken the determination for enlightenment, be filled with knowledge and wisdom, and preserve everlasting life. May sentient beings live for immeasurable aeons, make offerings to all Buddhas, with reverence and respect, diligently cultivating to increase the lifespan even more. May all sentient beings fully practice the method of removing old age and death, so that calamities and poisons cannot threaten their lives. May all sentient beings fully develop bodies free from illness and affliction so they may live as long as they wish. May all sentient beings attain inexhaustible life and abide by the practice of enlightening forever and ever, teaching and taming all sentient beings. May all sentient beings be doors of life wherein the good foundations of the 10 powers grow. May all sentient beings be replete with roots of goodness, attain unlimited life, and fulfill great vows. May all sentient beings see all the Buddhas and serve them and live indefinitely, cultivating and building up roots of goodness. May all sentient beings learn well what there is to learn from the enlightened, attain the joy of the way of sages and infinite life. May all sentient beings attain a permanent life root, neither aging nor becoming ill, progress with vigor and courage to enter the knowledge and wisdom of Buddhahood, end quote. This is great enlightening beings' dedication of roots of goodness when abiding by the 3 bodies of pure precepts and forever stopping slaughter to cause sentient beings to attain the complete 10-powered knowledge of Buddhas. When great enlightening beings see people cruelly castrating domestic animals, making their bodies incomplete and causing them pain, they are moved to, oh my goodness, they are moved to compassion and save the animals out of pity and order all the people in the land to stop this practice. The enlightening beings then say to those people, "Why do you do such an evil thing? I have a treasury full of all kinds of conveniences which I will give to you according to your needs. What you are doing is wrong, and I urge you not to do it. This occupation of yours is not right or reasonable. Even if you gain something, what is the use? To harm others for your own profit, after all, isn't right. All bad actions like this are not praised by the enlightened," end quote. And having spoken thus, they give them all their goods, and also explain the sublime teaching to them with fine words to gladden them. That is, they point out to them the way to peace and serenity, causing them to believe and accept, to do away with what is not good, to practice pure deeds, to be kind to one another and not to harm each other. Those people hearing this forever give up evil. So here they're, even the idea of gelding a stallion, of diminishing the population of the different animals by sterilizing dogs or cats and mice and whatever. Somehow, in which kind of a world, is it possible? Of course, I suppose he's talking about, cruelly castrating their domestic animals in order to use them in a certain kind of a way. Perhaps with the motivation of controlling an uncontrollable population, where they would all become feral and they couldn't be cared for and so forth and so on. It might be, with that motivation, it might be some way of doing it that's less painful than just cutting their balls off or pulling out their ovaries and so on. So, of animals, of domestic animals. So, putting science in that direction of not doing harm to beings. So it's really quite a strong form of giving. But remember, this Bodhisattva has also got people not eating meat and not killing animals like that. And this brings up, well, I don't know if you've reached there, but they don't talk about abortion. But this is one thing about abortion, the Dalai Lama and Buddhists do consider that once a being is conceived in a womb, it is a living being, whether it's conscious of being conceived or not. And therefore, it is a form of taking life, abortion. And so therefore, there is a moral wrong in it, an ethical unskill, a diminishment of the life force, and so on. On the other hand, if there's any harm that comes to the mother, it must be done, because these things are ideal principles, and once we understand the principles, there sometimes have to be inabilities to maintain the principles. That would be natural in different environments. And so people should not be condemned about it. So therefore, the Dalai Lama was said, in a Buddhist polity that is in a pluralistic country, where other people have different views of the reality of what a living being is and so forth, you cannot legislate that and just do it by command, he says. So you can't legislate it in a pluralistic country. In a country where everyone believed that, of course, and therefore it would be taking life, you should do everything possible to avoid doing it, of course. unless it will be taking the life of the mother, in some way harming the mother irreparably. So in this terrible controversy that goes on in the modern industrial world, it would be good if those who fight for the right for women to make their choice, which I personally agree with, and which I think that Dalai Lama is saying therefore he personally agrees with, according to what they believe is right, they will do. And if they don't know that it's a living being, then it is not the same kind of karma as taking life, as the fanatics think they are automatically killing a living being. Maybe they are in a way, but they don't know they are, and therefore that changes the karma of it. And you can't ask them to die themselves. You can't kill them and judge them and put them in jail and execute them as a murderer. But you can't do that because that's your belief system. So that's too fanatical. And but it would be good if those who are on that side of choice would see the sort of fanatical thing about the others as seeking to preserve life and give them that credit and somehow make them feel appreciated while rejecting their fanaticism. In other words, there's a self-righteousness on both sides that should be changed, where they're mentally saying the other one is so evil to do what they're doing, This one, that insanity as making it so extreme should be changed, so that each one sort of sees the other's view and understands that they think they're doing the right thing, but yet then come to a thing where they realize they can't be perfect, and each one has a negative side, etc. Each option does, and so then they make it legal. And actually, in fact, I have read that in this controversy is purposely pumped up by people who don't care at all about the children, who are political fundraisers for the Republican Party, who consider this the ideal wedge issue to get people to vote against their economic well-being, to vote against democracy, actually vote against voting, by making them feel their sort of right to life was being threatened and they had to do that. And because at first, when the Roe v. Wade occurred, women who go to do illegal abortions or use coat hangers on themselves or take weird drugs and kill themselves or harm themselves irreparably, can't have children in the future when they can't have one at some time, etc. They knew that the preachers were not mad about it. They knew that this was inevitable in a way, and that if you don't have legal, medically clean and skillful abortion operations, you're going to have horrible things happen to lots of people. And then other people will be stoned and destroyed by the society for doing what they will feel they can't help but doing, etc. So they were perfectly happy that this became legal. And then it was brought up as an issue to try to saddle the evil democratic people with it in order to destroy democracy, actually. So it was a fake thing that had got on them all extremists and freaked out, actually. And so there would be a way of solving this issue and not letting it be used as a wedge issue to drive home very unhealthy and murderous things like gun control and all kinds of horrible things, having people shooting each other and so on the basis of we're preserving life, So on the fake basis of their preserving life, what they call wedge issues. So then we're getting here to no castrating, no neutering animals. So at that time they dedicate the roots of goodness in this way. May all sentient beings be physically complete. May all sentient beings be courageous and cultivate pure religious practices. May all sentient beings have brave, bold strength, always be leaders and abide in unobstructed knowledge, never retreating. May all sentient beings forever abandon craving and have no attachments. May all sentient beings develop rectitude and intelligence and their knowledge increase, worthy of the praise of the Buddhas. May all sentient beings be endowed with the strength of great people and always be able to cultivate the roots of goodness of the 10 powers. May all sentient beings never be emasculated, always cultivating rare qualities of virtue and knowledge. May all sentient beings have no attachment or ties to sensual desires, attain mental liberation, detach from the mundane, and abide in enlightening practice. May all sentient beings become people of supreme knowledge and wisdom, trusted and obeyed by all. May all sentient beings fully possess the great knowledge and wisdom of enlightening beings, soon to become Buddhas, end quote. This is enlightening beings' dedication of roots and roots of goodness, and prohibiting all castration to cause sentient beings to have healthy bodies and all be able to protect good intelligence, always cultivating healthy practices. No, protect good human beings, to be born in the families of worthies and sages, full of intelligence, always cultivating healthy practices with healthy capabilities, endowed with the healthy seed of enlightenment, the true teaching, courage, vigor, wisdom, and purity of genuine humans. If great enlightening beings see a Buddha appear in the world and expound the true teaching, they announce to all in a loud voice, a Buddha has appeared in the world, a Buddha has appeared in the world. This is to cause sentient beings to hear the name of Buddha and give up all pride and inanity. They also exhort and lead them to hasten to see the Buddha, to remember the Buddha, to resort to the Buddha, to concentrate on the Buddha, to contemplate the Buddha, to laud the Buddha. Also, they extensively explain to them how rare it is to meet a Buddha who appears but once in a quadrillion aeons. Due to this, sentient beings get to see the Buddha, give rise to pure faith, dance for joy, and respectfully attend the Buddha. Also, from the Buddha, they hear the names of many Buddhas and go on to meet countless Buddhas, plant roots of goodness, cultivate and develop them. Then countless quadrillions of sentient beings, because of seeing the Buddha, all attain purity and ultimate pacification. Those sentient beings think of the enlightening beings as most excellent friends and benefactors. As due to the enlightening beings, they achieve enlightened qualities and distribute the roots of goodness they have planted over countless aeons throughout the world, thus performing Buddha work. When great enlightening beings teach sentient beings and induce them to see Buddha, they dedicate the roots of goodness in this way. May all sentient beings go to see Buddhas of their own accord, without being urged to do so, and may they serve, provide for, and gladden them all. May all sentient beings always enjoy seeing Buddhas without any feeling of rejection. May all sentient beings always diligently cultivate vast knowledge, absorbing and retaining the treasury of all Buddha teachings. May all sentient beings understand all Buddha teachings they hear and cultivate enlightening practice for immeasurable aeons. May all sentient beings abide in right mindfulness and always see the Buddha's emergence with the eye of knowledge. And may all sentient beings not think of different occupations, but always think of seeing Buddha and diligently cultivate the 10 powers. May all sentient beings always see Buddhas in all places, comprehending that the realization of thusness pervades the realm of space. May all sentient beings become equipped with the free body of Buddhahood, realizing enlightenment and expounding the truth throughout the 10 directions. May all sentient beings meet good teachers, always hear the Buddha teachings, and maintain unbreakable faith in the Buddha. May all sentient beings be able to eulogize the emergence of the Buddhas and cause those who see them to attain universal purity. End quote. This is enlightening beings' dedication of the roots of goodness of praising Buddha's appearance in the world, to cause sentient beings to see all Buddhas, provide for and serve them, and attain ultimate purity in the highest teaching. And by the way, just to come back to talk about my intervention in this abortion business, since we're about to have a major crisis here in the US over this, because of the Supreme Court's behavior and the fanaticism of some of the judges. On the other hand, that's nothing to do with preventing contraception. It's completely asinine that the right to life people are until you can't have contraception, and therefore young people can't have sex. That's ridiculous. I like it about the no castration thing. Why are they trying to castrate the young people? In fact, if they put equal intelligence and creativity and scientific thing into contraception, that's very easy to do. That's better than, you use contraception with dogs and cats with a single shot. You just go in and interfere with their DNA, no problem. You can use that, you can contraceive without actually doing cruel any cutting or anything if you need to control population. And you can do contraception with humans very easily and painlessly if you're worried about human thing. And furthermore, you can be free, teach young kids about sexuality and all kinds of contraception and protect women in that way. There's no excuse for not doing that, those of you who are so concerned about right to life. Those women have a right to life, meaning they have a right to the full exercise of their seeking of pleasure and so forth. Although they'll find that refining even that makes it not quite so, they're not going to be having orgies in the street because it doesn't work well that way, they'll discover. But on the other hand, as youth, they should be perfectly allowed to pursue those elements of their being and not suppressed and made into emotional plague victims who can't feel their own inner energy or their own inner bliss. and so forth because of insane puritanical suppression of them by that. Because there's no life taking with sperm, forget about it. Sperm does not mind. Sperm is not a human life or animal life until it meets its female egg, and that's that. There's no spirit in the sperm, short of that. Okay? So this is very important to balance the thing that maybe freaked some people out because it's so radical, to that you should feel compassion for the fanatics who are trying to make you carry to term even some sort of rape product, you know, because they're so crazy about it. But in a way, that's good. They're being devoted to life, but they should then be devoted to all aspects of life, preserving. That's what they should feed them all. They should have pure socialism everywhere, no question asked, and not waste money on weapons. And they should deprive people of guns so they can't kill each other and so forth. There's a lot of other things that they should be doing in their sanctity of life rather than dwelling around chasing some poor pregnant girls. Okay. So, when great enlightening beings teach sentient beings and induce them to see Buddha, they dedicate the roots of goodness in this way. May all sentient beings go to see the Buddhas of their own accord, without being urged to do so, and may they serve, provide for, and gladden them all. May all sentient beings always enjoy seeing Buddhas without any feeling of rejection. May all sentient beings always diligently cultivate vast knowledge, absorbing and retaining the treasury of all Buddha teachings. May all sentient beings understand all Buddha teachings they hear and cultivate enlightening practice for immeasurable aeons. May all sentient beings abide in right mindfulness and always see the Buddhas. End quote. The Buddha's emergence through the eye of knowledge. May all sentient beings not think of different occupations, but always think of seeing Buddhas and diligently cultivate the 10 powers. May all sentient beings always see Buddhas in all places, comprehending that the realization of thusness pervades the realm of space. May all sentient beings become equipped with the free body of Buddhahood, which they have already from all the Buddhas' perspective. We are just the part of the bodies of all the Buddhas. We're suffused with it. So we may comprehend the realization of thusness pervades the realm of space everywhere we are. May all sentient beings become equipped with the free body of Buddhahood, realizing enlightenment and expounding the truth throughout the 10. That's it's free, we don't have to pay for it. May all sentient beings meet good teachers, always hear the Buddha teachings and attain unbreakable faith in the Buddhas. May all sentient beings be able to eulogize the emergence of Buddhas and cause those who see them to attain universal purity, all of their own accord, the same as the previous one, but all of their own accord, end quote. This is enlightening beings' dedication of the roots of goodness, of praising Buddha's appearance in the world, to cause sentient beings to see all Buddhas, providing for and serve them and attain ultimate purity in the highest teaching. Great enlightening beings give away land. They may give it to Buddhas building retreats, or they may give it to enlightening beings and teachers to use as they wish, or they may give it to mendicant groups for a place of abode, or they may give it to their parents or to other people, or to Buddhist disciples, to individual illuminates, to various fields of blessing, including the poor, orphaned, homeless, and others, refugees. They may give whatever is wished to fulfill their needs. They may build Buddha's mausoleums and provide all necessary articles for such places, so they may be used as wished without fear or hesitation. Whenever great enlightening beings give land, they dedicate the roots of goodness in this way. Quote, may all enlightening beings fully realize the pure stage of universal knowledge and arrive at the consummation of the practices of universal good. Samantabhadra Bodhisattva, here he is. May all sentient beings who's doing this in every atom of every universe, in all dimensions, in all directions, and so forth, in all times. May all sentient beings attain the stage of total mental command and receive and hold all Buddha teachings with right recollections. May all sentient beings attain sustaining power and be able to preserve all Buddha teachings. May all sentient beings attain a mind like the earth with intentions ever pure and free from evil thoughts towards sentient beings. May all sentient beings maintain the lineage of Buddhas, accomplishing the processes of the stages of enlightening beings without interruption. May all sentient beings become abodes of safety for all, causing all to be harmonized and pacified and to abide in the path of purity. May all sentient beings benefit the world the same as enlightened ones, causing all to diligently cultivate themselves and abide securely in the power of Buddhahood. May all sentient beings be liked by all the world and cause everyone to abide in the highest happiness of Buddhahood. May all sentient beings attain skill in means of liberation and abide in the power and fearlessness of Buddhahood. May all sentient beings attain knowledge like the earth and freely practice all Buddha teachings, end quote. This is great enlightening beings' dedication of roots of goodness when giving land to cause sentient beings to all attain ultimate consummation of the pure state of all enlightened ones. Those of you who heard a previous session of this, I have an insight that Gaia, Mother Earth, is a Bodhisattva who wants to feed all living beings, and therefore she manifested herself as a planet. As a great enlightening being, she became an actual planet, a perfect planet that can grow food for all enlightening beings, that has an earth that is purely edible through becoming food. In original time, it was just purely edible as it was, just as a nectar. You could just eat the earth directly, which only poets understand today. Robert Frost, I love it. Robert Frost, when he went to Iowa, someone told me who invited him. It's a famous thing in Grinnell College when I was invited there. And when he was driving from the airport to Grinnell College and he saw the topsoil in Iowa, he said, "Oh, the soil of Iowa is so good. It looks so delicious. I wish I could eat it without straining it through the vegetables." I said, beautiful poetic thing. But Buddha has a creation cosmogony called the Aganya Sutta. And originally the earth was something that was edible. And all the beings came from descending from various heavens, like as angels. They would just eat it and enjoy it. And it only had to be strained through the vegetables, so to speak, when they started trying to monopolize it and hoard it and just not freely share it. Then they had to cultivate it and so on. It's this kind of process of degeneration like that. Anyway, so that's a consummation of the pure state of enlightened ones. Great enlightening beings give servants as offering to all Buddhas and enlightening beings, genuine teachers. Or they may give them to the religious community or to their parents, honorable fields of blessings. So again, they may give them to sentient beings suffering from illness to fulfill their needs and preserve their lives. Or they may give them to the poor and helpless and all others without attendance. Or they may give countless servants from time to time to look up to the shrines and mausoleums of Buddhas or to transcribe true teachings of the Buddha. This idea of giving people, and here it's called servants, is from this ancient culture. Nowadays, that would just mean you would fund the salaries of those who serve these kinds of institutions and people in the state of democracy. You know. Those servants, because you can't give people. Those servants are therefore like the thing where you give your wife or give your children. This was in an earlier culture where you sort of were the owner of them in a patriarchal society. Today, you can't be asked to give them because you don't own them. They have to become bodhisattvas and give themselves and so on. These servants are all intelligent and highly skilled, naturally obedient, always diligent, never lazy, with honest minds, peaceful and happy minds, altruistic minds, humane and benevolent minds, respectful minds, minds free from resentment and hostility, able to adjust to the customs of those for whom they work, able to be of benefit to everyone. Those are the people in your temp workers, which you pay good salaries to, and then you offer them to people to serve them. This is how you train them to have such happy altruistic minds, because you pay them well and they have good livelihood by serving the people. Not slaves, but in this ancient time it was close to slaves. Also from the influences of the enlightening beings' pure conduct, they have talent and artistry and are masters of crafts and mathematics. They are skilled in service and able to please. At that time the enlightening beings dedicate their roots of goodness in this way. May all sentient beings attain docile minds, cultivating roots of goodness with all Buddhas. May all sentient beings obediently provide offerings to all Buddhas and be able to hear and absorb what the Buddhas teach. May all sentient beings be accepted by the Buddhas, always observe the enlightened ones without any other thoughts. May all sentient beings not spoil the seed of Buddhahood, diligently cultivating all roots of goodness in accord with the Buddhas. May all sentient beings always diligently provide for all Buddhas, not wasting any time. May all sentient beings hold the sublime doctrines, teachings of the Buddhas, their words pure, traveling without fear. May all sentient beings always be happy to see Buddhas, never tiring, not begrudging their lives to the Buddhas. May all sentient beings get to see the Buddhas, their minds without indulgence or attachment, free from worldly dependence. May all sentient beings to only take refuge in Buddha and forever leave all false resorts. May all sentient beings follow the Buddha way, their minds always blissfully contemplating the supreme Buddha teaching. This is great enlightening beings' dedication of roots of goodness when giving servants to cause sentient beings to get rid of defilement, clear the ground of Buddhahood, and be able to manifest the free body of the enlightened. Great enlightening beings give their bodies to those who come ask for them. When they give, they engender a humble mind, a mind like the earth, a mind enduring all suffering without changing or wavering, a mind to serve sentient beings tirelessly, a mind regarding all sentient beings like a benevolent mother, turning over all their virtues to them, a mind of forgiveness for the various impositions and aggressions of ignorant evil beings, and rest on the foundations of goodness, diligently performing service. So this could cover sex workers. They should be highly respected as bodhisattvas who give their bodies, actually. They do, who ask for them, they do give them. I don't care about the money part. But they should be honored and respected in a sane society. They should, certainly. At that time, enlightening beings dedicate all the roots. I'll never forget in Taiwan, in Taipei, in free China. And the Chinese like freedom just as much as everybody else. It's a fake thing that the Communist Party of China tries to promote, along with the dictator of Singapore. The Chinese are different and they don't want to be free like Western. That's only a Western thing of freedom. That's BS. Every human being, every animal wants to be free. Everything gravitates to freedom because freedom is the nature of reality. It is the doorway to bliss is freedom. And so anyway, in free China, when I was there for a Tibet House exhibition about freeing, and my friend, my movie friend, celebrity friend was there about freeing the country from colonial domination by the Chinese Communist Party, wanting to create a communist empire like previous ritual, like emperor-dominated empires that they supposedly had liberated people from, but actually they behaved like one without the good ethic of the ancient Chinese emperor. And so, based on this communist nonsense dictatorship of the proletariat, which is a modern thing with no sense of noblesse oblige at all, just a gangster behavior. But anyway, he was there, and then he heard there was a demonstration outside his hotel, and he rushed out to join that demonstration, and then he found out to his horror that he was being filmed with a demonstration, but he shouldn't have been freaked out, should have been happy and proud that he was there for a demonstration by the sex workers union of Taipei, of free Taiwan, who didn't want the mayor to be cutting into their benefits and was on strike negotiating with the mayor for their health benefits and their legality and so forth. And he was crazy. He was working with them. Freedom and the free Tibet and free the sex workers. But he was a little freaked out because he knew that in Western puritanical crazy thing, this would be like really lowering the standard. But actually, you take a vow when you become a bodhisattva, you say, if beings need me to be in their bed as a courtesan or whatever, I will. So in a way, and I'm not saying every sex worker is doing it out of bodhisattva will. They may be, they're probably enslaved by some pimp or some addiction, lots of them and so on. But, there might be some real ones like that in places where it's legal, who, for them, it's their calling, Bodhisattva calling. At that time, anyway, never mind. At that time, enlightening beings dedicate all the roots of goodness in this way. May all sentient beings never lack what they need. Cultivate the practices of enlightening beings unremittingly. Not give up the just rewards of all enlightening beings. Remain on the path traveled by enlightening beings. Comprehend the equal real nature of enlightening beings. Get to be of the number of the family of Buddhas. Abide by truthful speech. Sustain enlightening practice. Cause all worldlings to be able to clarify the Buddha teaching. Deeply believe in it and realize the ultimate consummation of the teaching. And cause sentient beings to produce pure, excellent roots of goodness. Abide in great virtue and cause all sentient beings to always get to attend all Buddhas. To understand all their teachings, to bear the teachings, reading and reciting them, never forgetting them, and letting them be lost or scattered, their minds well subdued. Those who are not self-controlled, I will tame, training them with the methods of stillness and serenity. I will cause sentient beings in the presence of the Buddhas to persevere in these things. Also, by these roots of goodness, I will cause all sentient beings to be the foremost monument worthy of receiving the various offerings of the world. I will cause all sentient beings to become supreme fields of blessings, attain Buddha knowledge, and enlighten everyone. I will cause all sentient beings to become the best of recipients events able to benefit all living beings. I will cause all sentient beings to become their best of benefactors, able to foster the endowment of all roots of goodness. I will cause all sentient beings to become the finest receiver of gifts, able to cause the givers to obtain infinite rewards. I will cause all sentient beings to attain emancipation from the realms of desire, form, and formlessness. I will cause all sentient beings to become the foremost of leaders, able to show the world the path that accords with truth. I will cause all sentient beings to attain marvelous total mental command, fully holding all the true teachings of the Buddhists. I will cause all sentient beings to attain realization of the infinite primary cosmos of reality. Primary cosmos of reality, what does that mean? That means that at the deepest level, reality is infinite, reality is primary, reality is realization, reality is freedom, reality is bliss, it is orgasmic bliss, it is perfect joy and bliss and satisfaction and satiation of any desire, so that beings do not become addicted to desire because they become satisfied by it. This is great enlightenment, fully everywhere, not just in some moment or in some setting anywhere, but fully from within, from the center of their heart, they have orgasmic wisdom. Dedication of roots and goods when giving their own bodies, to cause all sentient beings to attain the body of infinite knowledge of the sanctified ones. Great enlightening beings are joyful when they hear the teachings. They conceive pure faith and are able to offer their own bodies to the Buddha, rapidly believing in the treasure of the unexcelled teaching. This is what Bodhisattvas do. This is what Bodhisattva mendicants do. They give up their body. I will give my body to the Buddhas. They think of the Buddhas as their parents and read and recite, absorb and hold the teachings of the path of non-obstruction, entering into all the gates of countless teaching, jewels of wisdom, roots of goodness. Their minds always think of infinite Buddhas. They enter the sphere of Buddhahood and attain to deep comprehension of its principle. They are able, with the subtle, mysterious, pure voice of the enlightened, to produce clouds of Buddha teachings and shower rain of Buddha teachings. Bravely and freely they are able to analytically explain the supreme state of the omniscient, fully consummating the vehicle of all knowledge. They fulfill all potentials with innumerable hundreds of thousands of millions of great teachings. When great enlightening teachings hear such teachings from Buddhas, their joy knows no bounds. They abide firmly by the truth, cut off their own doubt and confusion, and also cause others' doubts to be removed as well. Their minds are always light and happy, full of virtuous qualities, replete with roots of goodness. Their attention is continuous, helping sentient beings without their minds ever being exhausted. They attain supreme knowledge and become treasuries of diamonds. They associate closely with Buddhas and purify Buddha fields, always diligently attend all the enlightened ones. At that time, the enlightening beings dedicate the roots of goodness in this way. May all sentient beings attain a fully developed, most excellent body in the care of all Buddhas. May all sentient beings always be near the Buddhas, abide with the Buddhas, and always gaze upon them, never leaving. May all sentient beings attain a pure, indestructible body endowed with all virtue and knowledge. May all sentient beings always diligently serve all Buddhas and carry out the ultimate pure practice of non-assumption. May all sentient beings attain the egoless body divorced from self and possession. May all sentient beings be able to distribute their bodies throughout the lands of the 10 directions, like reflections appearing without coming or going. That's like magic body practice indirectly being referred to. May all sentient beings attain the body of freedom, going everywhere in the 10 directions without self or reception. May all sentient beings attain the Buddha body, born in the home of the unexcelled embodiment of the realization of thusness. May all sentient beings attain the great power of forbearance of the body of power and truth, which none can break down. May all sentient beings attain the incomparable body and realize the pure body of reality of the enlightened. May all sentient beings develop the body of transmundane virtues, born in the pure realm of reality where nothing is obtained. This is the dedication of roots of goodness of enlightening beings when offering their bodies to Buddhas, to cause sentient beings to dwell forever in the house of the Buddhas of past, present, and future. Great enlightening beings give their bodies to all sentient beings because they want to cause them to develop roots of goodness and to remember and think of roots and goodness. Great enlightening beings wish their bodies to be great bright lamps able to illumine all sentient beings to be means of life supporting all beings, to be treasuries of wonderful teaching able to sustain all living beings, to be pure light to awaken all sentient beings, to be lights of the world causing all sentient beings to always see, to be causes and conditions of roots of goodness, causing sentient beings to always get the opportunity to meet them, to be genuine teachers causing all sentient beings to receive instruction and guidance, to be even paths on which all sentient beings may tread, to be unexcelled, complete comfort, enabling all sentient beings to be freed from suffering and be purified, and to be clear suns universally and impartially benefiting the world. This reminds me of the Tibetan heroes, maybe 160, 70 of them by now, who offer their bodies in fire to teach the Chinese communist soldiers and officials and people in the world, although people in the world don't see them because the communists so carefully block the media transmission of their self-immolation, body immolations. They never call it in Tibetan self-immolation because the self goes on bigger than the body. The self takes a better rebirth when giving the body away without hatred or anger. If some of them did it wrongly and wrongly got hepped up and went into agony by doing it out of rage and anger without being masochistic, without being able to really give it up totally into the flames, then we feel compassion for them, and that's very, very regrettable. But many of them, I'm sure, gave it because they're really aware of that. And it really reminds me when they give all their bodies to sentient beings, that's what they have. At that time, great enlightening beings, a person, dedicate into the realm, great enlightened beings give their bodies to all sentient beings because they want to cause them to develop roots of goodness and to remember and think of roots and goodness. Great enlightening beings wish their bodies to be, I read this, but I want to read it again, thinking of those heroes in Tibet, those warriors of peace and democracy and freedom, seeking their freedom and wishing the freedom of the poor Chinese who are obeying orders and torturing them and beating them and killing them, and torturing themselves and doing that, ruining their own karma, obeying those orders. Great enlightening beings wish their bodies to be great bright lamps, able to illumine all sentient beings, to be means of life supporting all beings, to be treasuries of wonderful teaching, able to sustain all living beings, to be pure light, to awaken all sentient beings, to be lights of the world, causing all sentient beings to always see, to be causes and conditions of roots of goodness, causing sentient beings to always get the opportunity to meet them, to be genuine teachers, causing all sentient beings to receive instructions and guidance, to be even paths on which all sentient beings may tread, to be unexcelled, complete comfort, enabling all sentient beings to be freed from suffering and be purified, to be clear suns universally and impartially benefiting the world. But don't go do that burning your body in a protest against whatever crazy thing people are doing. Don't do that when it would be agony for you. Only do that when you're so ecstatic that you can blaze up. You don't need any gas or fuel. You can blaze flames out of your navel chakra, the flame of Tummo. And all hatred is transmuted into ultimate reality, perfection, and the flame of Tummo blazes forth from you without damaging actually your sensitive skin or your body, and it just melts your bliss, makes it even greater. So that's really how you should only do it, never do it the other way. But on the other hand, if they're doing with the motivation of doing, you cannot put them down. At that time, enlightening beings dedicate the roots of goodness to this way. May all sentient beings always associate with the Buddhas, enter the realm of Buddha knowledge. May all sentient beings attain adaptable knowledge and abide in and excel the well. May all sentient beings always be in the assemblies of Buddhas and their minds to be well trained. May all sentient beings always comport themselves with the dignity of Buddha. May all sentient beings attain nirvana and profoundly understand the meaning of the teaching. May all sentient beings be complete in knowledge and conduct and be born in the house of the Buddha. May all sentient beings give up ignorant craving and abide in the aspiration of Buddhahood. May all sentient beings develop excellent roots of goodness and sit at the tree of enlightenment. May all sentient beings slay the brigands that are the addictions and get rid of the enemies. May all sentient beings fully preserve all Buddha teachings. End quote. This is great enlightening beings' dedication of roots of goodness when giving their bodies to all sentient beings because they want to benefit all sentient beings and cause them to reach the realm of supreme peace. Great enlightening beings personally attend the Buddhas. Personally attend the Buddhas wanting. Personally attend the Buddhas wanting to requite their great benevolence, thinking of them like parents. They have deep faith in the Buddhas. They are their parents. All you do to enter the family of Buddhas is you conceive the will to enlightenment. You imagine there could be such a way of being, that you're just such a bliss energy being. You're an infinite bliss energy being, and therefore you are of infinite benefit to every other being. And you can just you can travel around within their hearts, even though they don't know it, but they will come to know it with sort of maximal velocity by the fact that you will be adding to the infinite presence of all of the Buddhas. You're infinite plus one when you become one. So they are your parents, and they become your parents the minute you genuinely wish that, because the minute you generously have imagined it and you wish to have that and do that and be that for every being, the genuine spirit of enlightenment, of infinite love and compassion, including the will to enlightenment and the activation of enlightenment, altruistic attitude. When you do that, then you are a member of the Buddha family. They have deep faith in the Buddhas, even though you're still ignorant in other ways and addicted in other ways. Principles, the Buddha are born in the house of the enlightened. They follow the Buddhas, leaving the realm of delusion. They arrive at the sphere of action of all Buddhas. You're perfectly willing at that time to spend any amount of time in doing it, although you also want to do it more quickly for the benefit of the beings. So you seek the quickest, fastest teachings to be able to benefit them sooner, even though you're perfectly blissed out once you really become this, you wish for this impossible thing. You don't have the American dream, you don't have the China dream, you have the Bodhisattva dream. The minute you have that, you enter the house of the Buddhas. They arrive at the sphere of action of all Buddhas and become vessels of the teaching of all Buddhas. At that time, the enlightening beings dedicate these roots of goodness in this way. Quote, may all sentient beings attain pure minds and adorn themselves with the jewel of universal knowledge. May all sentient beings abide in good self-control and avoid all bad actions. May all sentient beings gain indestructible, steadfast retinues, able to absorb the true teaching of the Buddhas. May all sentient beings become students of Buddhas and reach the enlightening being stage of coronation. May all sentient beings always be in the keeping of the Buddhas and forever give up whatever is not good. May all sentient beings follow the Buddhas and practice the supreme principle of enlightening beings. May all sentient beings enter the sphere of Buddhas and receive the prediction of omniscience. May all sentient beings be thoroughly equal to the Buddhas and master all the Buddha teachings. May all sentient beings be in the care of Buddhas and always be able to practice acting without grasping or attachment. May all sentient beings become the foremost attendants of the Buddhas, and in the company of the Buddhas cultivate the practice of knowledge and wisdom. End quote. This is great enlightening beings' dedication of roots of goodness when attending Buddhas, because they want to actually realize the enlightenment of the Buddhas, because they want to save all sentient beings, because they want to transcend all in the triple world, because they want to perfect non-malevolence, because they want to attain immeasurably great enlightenment, because they want to develop knowledge illuminating the Buddha teachings, because they want to always receive acceptance by the Buddhas, because they want to gain the protection of the Buddha, because they want to truly understand all Buddha teaching, because they want to develop roots of goodness equal to those of the Buddhas of all times, and because they want to fully develop an unembittered mind and realize the teachings of all Buddhas. Great enlightening beings give up their countries, able to relinquish all things, including kingship. Their minds attain freedom from all worldly concerns, and they have no ties, no bonds, no obsessions or attachments. They avoid evil deeds and work for the benefit of sentient beings without attachment in the result of their deeds. They do not take pleasure in worldly things and are no longer attached to or eager for any realm of existence. Although they live in the world, they do not set their hearts on it. They do not cling to material, mental, or sense phenomena, and their minds do not rest on anything internal or external. They never forget the practices of enlightening beings and never abandon the wise. Keeping the far-reaching practical commitments of enlightening beings, they always gladly serve all good companions. At such time, the enlightening beings dedicate these roots of goodness in this way. Quote, may all sentient beings become monarchs of truth, masters of truth, and reach the other shore. May all sentient beings become monarchs of the Buddha teaching and destroy their enemies, the addictions. May all sentient beings dwell of hate, of ignorance, lust, and delusion. May all sentient beings dwell in the sovereignty of Buddhahood, attain enlightened knowledge, and expound the Buddha teachings. May all sentient beings live in the realm of Buddhahood and be able to turn the wheel of the teaching of unexcelled freedom. May all sentient beings be born in the house of the enlightened ones, master the teachings, and preserve the family of Buddhas forever. May all sentient beings reveal innumerable true teachings of the King of Truth, perfecting boundless great enlightening beings. May all sentient beings abide in the pure realm of reality, become monarchs of the great truth, and manifest the emergence of Buddhas, continuing unbroken. May all sentient beings be monarchs of knowledge and wisdom in all worlds, edifying and guiding living beings without ever abandoning them. May all sentient beings be donors of truth to all sentient beings in all the worlds throughout the space of the cosmos, enabling them all to abide in the great vehicle. May all sentient beings manage to become monarchs replete with mystical virtue, with myriad virtues, with roots of goodness equal to those of the Buddhas of past, future, and present. End quote. This is great enlightening beings' dedication of roots of goodness when giving away kingship, because they want to cause all sentient beings to ultimately live in peace. When enlightening beings see people come asking for the magnificent buildings of the royal capital, as well as the revenues from customs duties collected at the borders, they give it all ungrudgingly, wholeheartedly turning toward enlightenment, making great vows, abiding in great benevolence, practicing great compassion, their mind joyfully intent on helping sentient beings. By great knowledge they understand the profound truth and abide in the equal real nature of Buddhas. They practice giving because they are determined to find omniscience, because they have profound longing for freedom, because they seek realization of independent knowledge, because they purified all virtues, because they abide in steadfast great knowledge, because they extensively gather all kinds of roots of goodness, carry out extensive the undertakings of all the Buddha teachings, because they spontaneously awaken to the principle of great knowledge, because they abide in enlightenment without regressing, because they cultivate the practical vows of all enlightening beings, and because they thoroughly consummate knowledge of methods of enlightenment. These roots of goodness they dedicate in this way, quote, may all sentient beings be able to purify infinite lands and present them to the Buddhas to live in. May all sentient beings always enjoy living in forests, silent, peaceful, undisturbed. May all sentient beings not dwell in capitals or cities, their hearts delighting in peace and quiet, forever attaining ultimate serenity. May all sentient beings be forever unattached to any world and always gladly avoid all mundane talk. May all sentient beings attain hearts free from covetousness, giving whatever they have without regret. May all sentient beings attain emancipated minds, giving up occupation with business. May all sentient beings be free from miserliness and always practice generous giving. May all sentient beings have unattached minds transcending the events of home life. May all sentient beings attain freedom from suffering and eliminate all fear of calamity. May all sentient beings purify all worlds in the 10 directions and present them to the Buddhas. End quote. This is great enlightenment beings' dedication of roots and goodness when giving away royal capitals to cause sentient beings to all be able to purify the Buddha feels. Great enlightening beings, ladies in waiting, are all beautiful and talented, witty and graceful, skilled in conversation, dancing and singing, adorned with various clothes, flowers, and perfumes, endlessly delighting to all who see them. Such precious women, countless numbers of them, are all born of the good deeds of enlightening beings, free to do as they will, yet impeccably respectful and agreeable. All of them, the enlightening beings, give to those who ask for them without longing for them, without missing them, without obsession with them, without attachment to them, without clinging to them, without craving for them, without thinking about them, without pursuing them, without attachment to their appearance, without lust for them. At such a time, the enlightening beings contemplate the roots of goodness and dedicate them to enabling all sentient beings to attain emancipation, to attain the joy of the Buddha teachings, to attain the enduring in the midst of the unenduring, to attain the uncorruptible mind of adamantine knowledge, to enter the sight of Buddha's enlightenment, to reach the other shore, to attain the supremely enlightened mind, to be able to comprehend all things, to produce all roots of goodness, to enter the house of the Buddhas at all times. Great enlightening beings abiding by this principle are born in the house of the enlightened, develop the pure, supreme causal basis of the Buddhas, produce the supreme path of universal knowledge, enter deeply into the far-reaching work of knowledge of enlightening beings, and get rid of all worldly defilements and afflictions. They are always able to provide offerings to the virtuous fields of blessings. They expound the wondrous teaching to sentient beings, skillfully arranging it, causing them to cultivate pure practices, always endeavoring to embody all roots of goodness. At such a time, the enlightening beings dedicate the roots of goodness in this way. May all sentient beings always attain a retinue of innumerable concentrations, the supreme concentration of enlightening beings continuing uninterrupted. May all sentient beings always delight in seeing Buddha and enter absorption in the adornments of Buddha. May all sentient beings accomplish the inconceivable concentration of enlightening beings, sporting freely in immeasurable spiritual powers. May all sentient beings enter concentration in accord with truth and attain incorruptible minds. May all sentient beings thoroughly attain the most profound concentration of enlightening beings and realize freedom in all meditations and concentrations. May all sentient beings attain liberated minds and accomplish the group of all concentration states. May all sentient beings attain skill in all kinds of concentration, able to take in all aspects of concentration. May all sentient beings attain concentration of supreme knowledge, able to learn and practice the various methods of concentration. May all sentient beings attain unobstructed concentration and enter into deep meditation, concentration, never regressing or losing it. May all sentient beings attain unattached concentration in their minds, always sensing truly and not grasping duality, end quote. This is great enlightening beings' dedication of roots of goodness when giving away their retinues, because they want to cause all sentient beings to gain indestructible pure retinues, because they want to cause all sentient beings to gain retinues of enlightening beings, because they want to cause all sentient beings to be able to fulfill the powers of omniscience, because they want to cause all sentient beings to realize supreme wisdom, because they want to cause all sentient beings to have amenable retinues, because they want to cause all sentient beings to attain the pure reality body of the enlightened, because they want to cause all sentient beings to attain orderly, reasonable powers of elucidation and skillfully expound the inexhaustible treasury of the Buddha's teachings, because they want to cause all sentient beings to forever relinquish all conventional mundane virtues and equally cultivate pure transmundane virtues, because they want to cause all sentient beings purifying work to be complete and develop all pure qualities, and because they want to cause all Buddha teachings to be evident to all sentient beings, universally purified by the light of truth. Great enlightening beings can give away their beloved spouses and children, as did the Bodhisattva loving prince, Bodhisattva adornment manifesting king, and countless other great enlightening beings. At such a time, the enlightening beings mount the mind of all knowledge, carry out total giving, and purely cultivate the path of giving of enlightening beings, their minds clear and without regret. They give up what they prize in quest of omniscience to cause sentient beings to have profound, pure aspirations, accomplish the practice of enlightenment, observe the path of enlightening beings, reflect on the enlightenment of the Buddhas, and abide in the family of Buddhas. When great enlightening beings have developed such a giving mind, they determine to seek the body of Buddha. They observe their own bodies to be bound to everything and unable to be independent. Still, they help all sentient beings with their own bodies like continents of treasure, giving all, causing the unfulfilled to be fulfilled. Thus do enlightening beings care for sentient beings, wishing to cause their own bodies to be the best of monuments, to cause all to become joyful. They want to create an egalitarian, equanimous attitude in the world. They want to be reservoirs of pure coolness for sentient beings. They want to give all peace and happiness to sentient beings. They want to be great donors to sentient beings. They are capable of such magnificent commitments because their knowledge is free and they know the practices carried out by enlightening beings. Proceeding toward omniscience, they vow to become supremely wise fields of blessings. They care for all sentient beings and always follow and protect them while being able to accomplish their own salvation. Their light of knowledge and wisdom illumines the whole world. They always conscientiously remember the generosity of enlightening beings and always raptly contemplate the sphere of realization of thusness. Great enlightening beings dedicate the roots of virtues collected by giving away spouses and children with unbound, unattached, liberated minds in this way. May all sentient beings abiding in the enlightenment of Buddhahood produce phantom bodies pervading the cosmos, turning the wheel of teaching that never turns back. May all sentient beings attain the body of non-attachment and go to all Buddha fields by the power of will. May all sentient beings give up the mind of love and hate and sever the knot of greed and anger. May all sentient beings be children of the Buddhas, following the course of the Buddhas. May all sentient beings steadfastly think of the Buddhas as themselves. May all sentient beings always be children of Buddha, born by transformation from the teaching. May all sentient beings reach the ultimate and accomplish the independent knowledge and wisdom of the enlightened. May all sentient beings realize the enlightenment of Buddhahood and be forever free of afflictions. May all sentient beings be able to fully expound the way to enlightenment, always blissfully practicing the giving of the unsurpassed teaching. May all sentient beings attain a rightly concentrated mind, their concentration unbroken by any objects. May all sentient beings sit at the tree of enlightenment, attain supreme true awakening, and teach to innumerable good men and women born by transformation from the teaching. End quote. This is enlightening beings' dedication of roots of goodness when giving spouses and children to cause sentient beings to all realize the unattached knowledge of unhindered liberation. Great enlightening beings give houses and furniture to any who ask for them. Don't keep your house after practicing the principle of generosity, having no attachments to home, leaving behind all thoughts of home life, fed up with family business, having no craving or taste for comforts and conveniences. Their minds are without ties or attachments. They know the household is fragile, and they disdain it, having no craving for it at all, only wanting to leave home and cultivate the practices of enlightening beings, adorning themselves with the enlightening teachings and qualities of Buddhahood. They give up all without regret, always praised by the Buddhas, generously giving whatever they have, houses, goods, wherever they are, without attachment in their minds. When they see beggars come, they are joyful, and the enlightening beings dedicate these roots of goodness in this way. May all sentient beings be liberated from the ties of householding, ended homelessness, and cultivate religious practice in Buddhism. May all sentient beings get rid of the taint of miserliness and gladly give all, their minds never shrinking back. May all sentient beings forever detached from householding, have few desires, be content, not storing anything. May all sentient beings leave the home of conventional society and live in the home of the enlightened. May all sentient beings be free from clinging to home and family, and although they live at home, have no attachment to their minds. In their minds, may all sentient beings be skillful teachers and guides, expounding enlightened wisdom without leaving lay life. May all sentient beings, while physically living at home, mentally always live in accordance with the Buddha knowledge. May all sentient beings, while in the state of lay home life, dwell in the state of Buddhahood and cause infinite sentient beings to develop joyful minds. This is great enlightening beings' dedication of roots of goodness when giving houses to cause sentient beings to accomplish the various practical vows and spiritual powers and knowledge of enlightening beings. Great enlightening beings give all kinds of gardens, groves, terraces, and pleasant parks with this thought: I should make a fine grove for all sentient beings. I should show all sentient beings the pleasure of the teaching. I should give all sentient beings joy. I should show all sentient beings boundless enjoyment. I should open the gate of the teaching of purity for all sentient beings. I should cause all sentient beings' minds to swell with joy. I should cause all sentient beings to attain complete enlightenment. I should cause all beings to fulfill the great vow. I should be like a benevolent father to all sentient beings. I should cause all sentient beings to observe with knowledge and wisdom. I should give all sentient beings the necessities of life. I should be like a loving mother to all sentient beings, nurturing all roots of goodness and great aspirations. The swell word is so wonderfully well chosen by the great Thomas Cleary translator. Swell is shvi in Sanskrit, and it's the root of the word shunyata. And it is the root, and shunya is the word for zero in Sanskrit. And in Indian mathematics, they invented the decimal system because they realized that the zero was swole into the place where all infinite everything could be placed, thereby inventing the decimal system. I should, great enlightening beings give all kinds of gardens, groves, terraces, and pleasant parks. With this thought, I should make a fine grove for all sentient beings. I should show all sentient beings the pleasure of the teaching. I should give all sentient beings joy. I should show all sentient beings boundless enjoyment. I should open the gate of the teaching of purity for all sentient beings. I should cause all sentient beings' mind to swell with joy. I should cause all beings to attain complete enlightenment. I should cause all beings to fulfill the great vow. I should be like a benevolent father to all sentient beings. I should cause all sentient beings to observe with knowledge and wisdom. I should give all beings the necessities of life. I should be like a loving mother to all sentient beings, nurturing all roots of goodness and great aspirations. That means I should be a planet for all sentient beings to live on, and all of them to feed and to be happy. Me living among the plants who would be happy to have the mobile beings living among them, and the mushrooms. When great enlightening beings cultivate roots of goodness like this, they do not detest evil sentient beings and do not make the mistake of thinking to reject them. Even if all the beings in the world are ingrates, they never have any hatred or resentment and never give a thought to revenge. They only want to annihilate their innumerable sufferings and addictions. In all worlds, their minds are like space, unaffected and unattached. Everywhere they observe the true character of all things. They take the great vow to extinguish the sufferings of sentient beings, never wearying of or abandoning the determination of the great vehicle. Annihilating all views, they cultivate the impartial practice and vows of enlightening beings. Great enlightening beings, having contemplated in this way, unify all their roots of goodness and dedicate them all in this way. May all sentient beings richly produce innumerable good qualities, moment to moment, and develop minds like supreme gardens and groves. May all sentient beings attain imperturbability, see all Buddhas and make them happy. May all sentient beings enjoy the garden of truth and attain to supreme enjoyment of the gardens of the Buddha-Land. May all sentient beings attain pure minds and always see the garden of psychic powers of the enlightened ones. May all sentient beings attain the playful enjoyment of Buddhahood, always sporting in the realm of wisdom. May all sentient beings attain the pleasure of carefree roaming, traveling to the assemblies and enlightenment sites in Buddha fields everywhere. May all sentient beings accomplish the liberated roaming of enlightening beings and carry out the practices of enlightening beings throughout the future without ever tiring of it. May all sentient beings see all Buddhas filling the cosmos, develop vastly broad minds, and abide in the groves of Buddhahood. May all sentient beings be able to go to all Buddha fields and give offerings to the Buddhas in each and every field. May all sentient beings attain hearts of good desires, purifying and adorning all Buddha fields. End quote. This is great enlightening beings' dedication of roots of goodness when giving away all gardens, groves, and terraces. Great enlightening beings perform countless great charitable works, all pure, proved by the Buddhas, never injuring a single sentient being, causing all sentient beings to avoid all evils, to purify their action, speech, and thought, and to achieve wisdom. They clear countless spheres of purity and pile up therein countless fine things to support life. Activating the most rarely attained spirit of enlightenment, they practice unlimited giving, causing sentient beings to abide in the path of purity, good in the beginning, the middle, and the end, and to engender pure faith. They gladden countless sentient beings according to their heart's desires. With great benevolence and compassion, they bring all to safety. They serve and provide for the Buddhas of the past, present, and future. Because they want to develop the seed of Buddhahood, they practice giving without regret in their hearts, increasing the development of the faculty of faith, fulfilling superlative conduct, moment to moment, progressing to transcendence. At such time, the enlightening beings dedicate the roots of goodness in this way. Quote, may all sentient beings develop the mind of the great vehicle and be able to accomplish the giving of the great vehicle. May all sentient beings be able to carry out giving to the masses, total giving, good giving, supreme giving, unexcelled giving, most unsurpassable giving, incomparable giving, giving transcending all worlds, being praised by all the Buddhas. May all sentient beings become the best of donors, rescuing sentient beings from the various conditions of misery and enabling them to enter the path of unobstructed knowledge, cultivate impartial vows, roots of goodness in accordance with truth, attaining non-discrimination, realizing inherent knowledge. May all sentient beings abide securely in the dispassionate, serene knowledge of meditation concentrations, enter the undying path, consummate knowledge of all spiritual powers, persevere bravely to fulfill the enlightened qualities adorning all the stages and reach the other shore, never turning back. May all sentient beings set up great charities without ever wearying, providing for and helping sentient beings unceasingly, consummating the unexcelled knowledge of all means of liberation. May all sentient beings always diligently plant all roots of goodness and reach the other shore of myriad virtues. May all sentient beings always be praised by the Buddhas and be great donors in the world, replete with virtues, filling the cosmos, illuminating the 10 directions, giving unexcelled happiness. May all sentient beings establish great charities, widely gathering roots of goodness, equally including all sentient beings, and arrive at the other shore. May all sentient beings accomplish supreme giving, causing sentient beings everywhere to abide in the foremost vehicle. May all sentient beings give at appropriate times, forever avoid improper timing, and consummate great giving. May all sentient beings accomplish good giving and reach the other shore of great giving of the Buddhas. May all sentient beings ultimately always carry on magnificent giving, considering all Buddhas their teachers, able to approach them all and make great offerings. May all sentient beings abide in pure giving, gathering infinite virtues equal to the cosmos, and reach the other shore. May all sentient beings be great donors in all worlds, vowing to liberate all creatures and live in the realm of the enlightened, end quote. This is great enlightening beings' dedication of roots of goodness when establishing great charities to cause sentient beings to practice supreme giving, giving to consummate Buddhahood, giving to perfect goodness, give incorruptible giving, giving of offerings to Buddhas, giving without resentment, giving to save sentient beings, giving to attain omniscience, giving to always see the Buddhas, giving with great perseverance, great giving to perfect the virtues of all enlightening beings and the knowledge and wisdom of Buddhahood. Great enlightening beings give all necessities of life unbegrudgingly, without seeking reward, without hoping for worldly prosperity or happiness. They rid the mind of errant thought and meditate well on the truth, because they want to benefit all sentient beings and clearly perceive the true nature of things. According to the various different needs of sentient beings, they prepare innumerable things to support life, the embellishments of which are all fine and beautiful. They carry out unbounded giving, total giving, giving of everything internal and external. When they carry out this giving, they increase their power of determination to gain great virtue, perfect a jewel of mind, and are ever able to safeguard all sentient beings, causing them all to develop the most excellent aspirations, yet with never a thought of seeking reward. Their roots of goodness are equal to those of the Buddhas of past, present, and future, and by them they all fulfill the knowledge of all means of liberation. Great enlightenment being dedicate all the roots of goodness in this giving to sentient beings, that all sentient beings may be purified and master themselves, that all sentient beings may extinguish addictions and purify all Buddha fields, that all sentient beings with a pure mind may pervade the cosmos in a single moment of thought, that all sentient beings may fill the cosmos of space with knowledge, that all sentient beings attain universal knowledge, enter everywhere in the three realms of desire, form, and formlessness, and tame sentient beings at all times turning the irreversible wheel of the pure teaching. That all sentient beings may be endowed with omniscience and be able to manifest the techniques of spiritual powers to benefit sentient beings. That all sentient beings be able to awaken to complete enlightenment and forever ceaselessly expound the true teaching in all regions, causing all beings to get to hear and know of it. That all sentient beings may cultivate the practices of enlightening beings for countless aeons and manage to fulfill them all. That all sentient beings may cultivate the practices of enlightening beings in all worlds that may be accounted or spoken of, be they defiled or pure worlds, small or large, gross or subtle, inverted or upright, uniformly or variously adorned, extending throughout them all. That all sentient beings may in every passing moment perform the work of Buddhas of past, present, and future, teaching and transforming sentient beings and turning them toward universal knowledge. Great enlightening beings provide sentient beings with everything they need in order to cause the Buddha teaching to continue unbroken. With great compassion, they save all sentient beings, abiding stably in great benevolence. They cultivate the practices of enlightening beings. They never violate the teachings of the Buddha. With skill and means, they practice whatever is good, not letting the lineage of Buddhas die out. They give whatever is required without being troubled. They give all with never regret, being always earnestly dedicated to the path of universal knowledge. At such times, the various forces and species of living creatures from the lands of the 10 directions, various fields of blessings, all come and gather round the enlightening beings, making various requests of them. The enlightening beings, seeing them, receive them all, their hearts becoming joyful like seeing good friends. With great compassion and mercy, they want to satisfy their wishes. Their generosity increases increasingly, and without weariness, they fulfill their requests, satisfying them according to their needs, freeing them from the miseries of destitution. Then the seekers are very happy and spread the voice of praise of the virtues of the enlightening beings, so that their good repute becomes widespread and everyone comes to them. The joy of the enlightening beings upon seeing them has no measure, even if one experienced the pleasures of Indra, king of gods, for quadrillion aeons, experienced the pleasure of the Suyama heaven, for countless aeons, experienced the pleasures of the Tushita heaven, for immeasurable aeons. This is weird. This is all being said in the Tushita heaven. Remember, experienced the pleasures of the heaven of good emanations, for boundless aeons, experienced the pleasures of the heaven of free enjoyment of others' emanations, for incomparable incomparable aeons, experience the pleasure of the Brahma kings for uncountable aeons, experience the 3,000 royal pleasures of world monarchs for uncountable aeons, experience the pleasures of the heaven of universal purity for unthinkable aeons, and experience the pleasures of the heaven of pure abodes for unspeakably many aeons. None of it could equal the joy and delight of great enlightening beings upon seeing the needy come to them. They are happy and ebullient, their faith grows, their aspiration is pure, their faculties are harmoniously tuned, their resolution is fully developed, and they progress toward complete enlightenment. The great enlightening beings dedicate these roots of goodness to the welfare of all sentient beings, to the peace and happiness of all sentient beings, to the true benefit of all sentient beings, to the purification of all sentient beings, to induce all sentient beings to seek enlightenment, to cause all sentient beings to attain equality, cause all sentient beings to attain intelligent, benevolent minds, to cause all sentient beings to enter the great vehicle, to cause all sentient beings to attain wisdom, cause all sentient beings to fulfill the practical intakes of the universally good, enlightening beings, Samantabhadra Bodhisattva, fulfill the vehicle of the 10 powers and actually realize true awakening. When great enlightening beings medicate roots of goodness this way, they are liberated in word, thought, and deed. They have no attachments or bonds, no concept of sentient beings, no concept of a life, no concept of a personality, no concept of a person, no concept of a youth, no concept of one born, no concept of an agent, no concept of a receiver, no concept of existence, no concept of non-existence, no concept of present life or afterlife, no concept of dying here and being born there, no concept of permanence, no concept of impermanence, no concept of three realms, and no concept of the non-existence of the three realms. They are not perceiving, no concept of three realms of existence, no concept of the non-existence of the three realms. They are not perceiving, nor they are not perceiving that they are not practicing dedication bound, not practicing dedication liberated from bonds, not practicing dedication by action, not practicing dedication by the results of action, not practicing dedication with discrimination, not practicing dedication indiscriminately, not practicing dedication thinking, not practicing dedication after thought, not practicing dedication with mind, not practicing dedication mindlessly. When great enlightening beings practice dedication in this way, they do not cling to inside or outside, subject or object, cause or effect, right or wrong, thought or non-thought, from birth or form, the passing away of form, or to sensation, perception, patterning, or consciousness, or to the birth of passing away of sensation, perception, active patterning, or consciousness of great enlightening beings who are able not to be bound by these things, then they are not bound by form or by birth or passing away of form. They are not bound by sensation, perception, action, or patterning, or consciousness, or by the birth or passing away of sensation, perception, action, or patterning, or consciousness. If they're not able to not be bound by these things, then they're also not released from these things. Why? Because there does not exist the slightest thing being born, already born, or to be born. There is nothing that can be apprehended, nothing that can be clung to. All things are inherently like this. They have no intrinsic nature of their own. They are not intrinsically incompatible with any characterization, neither one nor two, nor many, and not infinite, not small, nor large, not narrow, nor broad, not deep, nor shallow, not nullity, and not concepts, not so-and-so, and not so, not truth, and not truth, not substantial, not insubstantial, not existent, and not non-existent. The enlightening beings thus see things as not things, while in terms of speech they follow conventions in defining what are not things as things. They do not cut off the paths of action, do not give up enlightening practices. They seek omniscience without ever turning back. They know that all conditions of action are like dreams, that sounds and voices are like echoes, that sentient beings are like shadows, that all things are like phantoms. Yet they do not deny the power of the action of causes and conditions. They know that the function of actions is far-reaching. They understand that all things do nothing and traverse the path of non-doing without ever giving it up. These great enlightening beings abide in universal knowledge, dedicating all, whether positive or negative, to omniscience. They practice dedication in all places without ever retreating. In what sense, by what meanings is it called dedication? It is called dedication because of having crossed over the world forever and having arrived at the other shore. It is called dedication because of crossing over the path of speech and arriving at the other shore. It's called dedication because of having leaving behind all sorts of concepts and reaching the other shore. It is called dedication because of having forever ended the idea of corporeality and arrived at the other shore. It is called dedication because of having left dependency behind forever and reached the other shore. It is called dedication because of having ended contrivance forever and reached the other shore. It is called dedication because of having left all states of existence forever and having arrived at the other shore. It is called dedication because of having abandoned all grasping forever and arrived at the other shore. It is called dedication because of having left all worldly things forever and arrived at the other shore. When great enlightening beings practice dedication in this way, then they are living in accord with the Buddha and the Lord, with the truth, in accord with knowledge, in accord with enlightenment, in accord with the meaning, in accord with its spirit, in accord with its practice, in accord with reality, in accord with purity. When great enlightening beings practice dedication in this way, then they comprehend all things and they serve all Buddhas. There is not a single Buddha they do not attend, not a single thing they do not offer. There is not a single thing that can be destroyed, not a single thing that can be turned away from, not a single thing that can be clung to, not a single thing that can be avoided. They do not see anything at all, internal or external, that has any disintegration or violates causality. They are replete with the power of the teaching and never cease. This is the sixth of the great enlightening beings' dedications, following up and making permanent all roots of goodness, causing them to endure. When great enlightening beings abide in this dedication, they are always in the care of the Buddhas. They firmly endure, non-regressing, and enter the profound essence of things, cultivating universal knowledge. They accord with the meaning of the teaching, accord with the nature of things, accord with all enduring roots of goodness, accord with all completely fulfilled great vows, and fully embody the truth which accords with perdurance, which cannot be broken by even the adamantine, even the adamant, even the diamond. In the midst of all things, they attain independence. Then the enlightening being, Diamond Banner, who has been speaking all of this, surveying the 10 directions, looking over the assembled masses, and viewing the cosmos, entered into the most profound meaning of verbal expression, cultivated an immeasurably broad mind, covered the whole world with a mind of great compassion, developed the mind of the family of Buddhas of past, future, and present, entered into the virtues of all Buddhas, perfected the body of independent powers of Buddhas, observed the mental inclination of sentient beings, and, according to their roots of goodness that could be developed and nurtured, matured, it manifested physical bodies to them based on the body of the essence of things, imbued with spiritual power from the Buddha. He said in verse, enlightening beings appear physically as monarchs in the highest worldly ranks, their virtues and glories surpassing all, providing benefit for all living creatures. Their minds are pure, without attachment. They're masters of the world, respected by all. They promulgate true teaching to educate people and cause sentient beings everywhere to attain peace. Manifesting birth among the noble, rising to monarchy, they always carry on the teaching according to the truth. Benevolent by nature, free from cruelty, all in the 10 directions look up to them and obey them. Their knowledge and discernment always clear. Their capacities are fully complete. As rulers and leaders, they are followed by all. They crush the armies of demons and annihilate them. They hold fast to pure morality without transgression. With firm determination, they forbear unshakably. They vow to forever clear away anger from the mind and always gladly practice the teaching of Buddha. Food and drink, perfumes and garlands, as well as clothes, vehicles, chairs, cushions, and lamps. Enlightening beings give these to people to help them and give innumerable other kinds of things as well. They practice giving to be of aid, causing them to open their hearts in regard to the Supreme as well as others. Their minds are pure and full of joy. Enlightening beings provide for all, able to give up everything they have, internal and external, unfailingly causing their minds to be forever pure and never to be narrow or mean. They may give their heads or eyes, or give their hands or feet, skin, flesh, bones, marrow, and so on. All they give up unbegrudgingly. Enlightening beings on the throne of royalty are the most noble of tribes. Open their mouths and put forth their tongues to give living beings. Their heart joyful without sorrow or attachment. The virtues of giving their tongues they dedicate to all sentient beings, praying that based on this excellent cause all may attain the universal tongue of the enlightened. They may give their spouses and children or their royal rank, or give themselves to be servants. Their minds are pure and always joyful, thus they have no remorse or regret. Looking for enlightenment in each, their essential nature cannot be grasped. They do not cling to appearances of permanence in things. Oh, they give whatever. They have no remorse or regret. They give whatever is required, aiding according to the time unwearied. All they have they can disperse so that all seekers be satisfied. They give their bodies to hear the teaching and practice austerity seeking enlightenment. And for the sake of the living they give up all, seeing unexcelled knowledge without turning back. By the true teaching heard from the Buddhas, they give up their bodies to be servants because they want to save all living beings. They develop a mind of infinite joy. They see the world-honored guide can bring widespread weal with kindness. Then they dance with joy and absorb the savor of the profound teaching of enlightenment. Whatever roots of goodness enlightening beings have, they dedicate all to sentient beings. They rescue all without exception, forever freeing them so they're eternally at peace. Enlightening beings' retinues are attractive, talented, eloquent, and intelligent, adorned with all manner of embellishments, flower garlands, clothes, and perfumes. These retinues, rare as they are, enlightening beings are able to give away, wholeheartedly seeking true enlightenment to liberate beings, never for a moment giving up this determination. Enlightening beings thus think clearly and fully carry out various great works, dedicating all to conscious beings without developing a grasping mind. Enlightening beings give up their royal ranks, as well as their land and cities, palaces, bowers, gardens, and groves, servants and attendants, all ungrudgingly. Over countless millions of aeons, they travel everywhere giving, whereby they teach and lead living beings, causing them to ascend to the unexcelled shore. Countless species, each different, come and gather from all worlds. Seeing them, enlightening beings are joyful and satisfy them according to need. Like the dedication of the Buddhas of all times, enlightened beings perform similar works. The course of the human taming lords they emulate to reach the other shore. Enlightening beings examine all things. Who can comprehend these things? What is comprehension? What is comprehended? Thus their giving dwells nowhere. The adaptive knowledge of enlightening beings' dedication, the expedient methods of enlightening beings' dedication, the true meaning of enlightening beings' dedication, they have no attachment to these things. Their minds do not conceptualize actions arbitrarily, and they are not obsessed with results of action. They know the nature of enlightenment comes from conditions and enter the profound realm of reality without opposition. They do not have action in their bodies, nor does it dwell in the mind. By wisdom they realize there's no essence to action, yet due to causality's actions not lost. Their minds do not wrongly grasp things of the past, nor crave for things of the future, nor dwell on aught in the present. They know that the three times all are void. Enlightening beings have already reached the other shore of form and of sensation, perception, patterns, and consciousness. They go beyond the flow of birth and death in the world, their minds humble and always pure. They clearly analyze the 5 clusters, 18 elements, 12 sense media, and their own bodies, looking for enlightenment in each. Their essential nature cannot be grasped. They do not cling to appearances of permanence in things, nor cling to the appearance of annihilation. The nature of things is neither existent nor non-existent, while the process of the principle of action ultimately never ends. They do not dwell on anything at all, do not see sentient beings or enlightenment. Throughout all lands in all times, they ultimately find what cannot be found. If one can see things in this way, they will accord the understanding of the Buddhas. Though one seek their essence, it cannot be found. Yet enlightening beings' practices are not in vain. Enlightening beings understand things exist due to conditions, and they do not deviate from the paths they should travel. They clarify and explain the marks of all actions, wanting to purify all sentient beings. This is the path traversed by the wise, taught by all the enlightened ones. Following it reflectively, entering true meaning, one will naturally awaken and be enlightened. Phenomena have no birth or extinction, and they have no coming or going, not dying here and reborn there. Such people understand the Buddha's teachings, comprehend the true nature of things, yet not conceptualizing the nature of things. Knowing things have no essence and no discrimination, such people can enter the Buddha's knowledge. The nature of things is in all places, all sentient beings, and all lands, in all times, past, future, and present. It has no apprehensible form. That which the Buddhas all realize is all-inclusive, omitting naught. Though they explain all things in all times, all these things are not existent. As the nature of things pervades everywhere, so does the dedication of enlightening beings. Thus dedicated to sentient beings, they never retreat from the world. So in a way, we don't really have to dedicate anything because everything is being dedicated at all times. But we still do dedicate that we all become enlightening beings and that all other beings equally become enlightening beings, all in equality. and our planet restores itself to beauty and restores itself to sustainability, and that everyone is happy and lives in abundance, and all animals roam free without being slaughtered. We dedicate all, and all animals quickly become Buddhas themselves, as quickly as they can be, even if they have to go and be filtered through being human temporarily, or being gods temporarily. May they all become perfect Buddhas, perfectly equal to us, including all microorganisms, bacteria and viruses notwithstanding, and may they also all become Buddhas, and therefore not be of harm to any other being. Thank you all. See you next week.